This is Saxon Math for 6th grade. Today we're going to be doing lesson 93. And we're going to be talking about two-step equations and inequalities. Let's start with the equations first. Look over here, please, and write both of these simple equations on your paper. These are things we've done before. And the same system you already know how to do here is going to help you with our larger equations. Let's start with the first one. X plus 3 equals 5. If I wanted to solve for x, and you already know in your mind, what plus 3 makes 5? You already know it's 2. Well, let's look at how to do that where we move around the numbers to help us solve if we didn't already know the answer. Because I'm adding to my x, and I want to try to get x by itself, I want to take this and somehow move this to the other side. So I'm left with x equals something. If I'm adding, I can do that by subtracting. I could subtract 3 from both sides. If I had been subtracting, I could do it by adding. In either case, we're using the inverse operation to make it cancel out. So here I have x plus 3. If I keep my x plus 3 and I subtract 3, well, plus 3 minus 3 is 0. I'm left with x plus 0, which is just x, equals 5. And now I need to do the same thing that I did on this side. On this side, I kept my x plus 3, but I subtracted 3. I'm going to subtract 3 from this side as well. When I do that, I'm left with x, these cancel out, equals 5 minus 3, which is 2. And you've learned how to do this with multiplication. 3x equals 15. Because it's multiplied, if I was to divide by 3 on both sides, I'd be left with x equals something. Let's do that. 3x divided by 3 equals 15 divided by 3. So x, my 3's are going to cancel, equals 15 divided by 3, which is 5. Today you're going to have problems that require you to use both of these in one problem. Let's look at an example over here. Let's look at our first problem here. I have 2x plus 5 equals 35. What to do first? Should I subtract the 5 from both sides, or should I divide the 2 from both sides? If I divide the 2 from here, I'll have to divide it from here also, and that'll give me a weird fraction. I think the best thing to do is the addition and subtraction first. 2x, rewrite all of your problems, don't just write them aside, plus 5. And now let's subtract 5, so that my 5's will cancel out, and I'll be left with just x. I know it's a 2x, that's our second part of the problem, we'll get there in a minute. Let's do the same thing to the other side. I have 35, and I just subtracted 5 here, so I want to subtract 5 there. When I rewrite it, that leaves me with 2x equals 30. These steps and these problems are multiple steps, and it is very important that you record all of your work for all of your steps. The process is not complete unless you've shown all of the things that you do. Mental math is not acceptable, or acceptable as a process. Now I'm left with 2x equals 30. Let's use what we did here. Here I divided on both sides to help solve for x. So let's do that here as well. 2x divided by 2. 30 divided by 2. I'm left with x equals 30 divided by 2, which is 15. It's the same thing you're already doing. We're just doing both in one problem. Let's try it with something that always looks hard. It always looks harder when you add negative signs, fractions. It's not the exact same thing. Let's start with the addition and subtraction, and then we'll finish with the division. I have negative 2/3 x minus a half equals a third. Minus a half. That's the one I want to move to the other side first. I know that the opposite of addition is subtraction. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. Let's use that to help us. Rewrite your problem, negative 2/3 x minus 1/2. And now let's add our 1/2 so that these will cancel. Here's the original problem. Here's what I'm doing to help move my half to the other side. Equals 1/3. I added a half here, so I want to do the same thing to the other side. Now I'm left with my negative 2/3 x minus a half plus a half. Those cancel out. If I subtract and then add back in the same thing, I'm left with 0. So all I have from this side of the equation is my negative 2/3 x is equal to 1/3 plus a half. Remember what you already know. In order to add fractions, we must have a common denominator. 1/3 and a half. I bet I could make a denominator of 6 out of those. 1/3 would be the same as 2/6. And 1/2 would be the same as 3/6. Which leaves me with 5/6. Now we're going to do the second step. I have something multiplied by x equals something. Same as we did here. Something times x is something, so we divide it. I need to divide by negative 2/3 on both sides. Now you have two choices here. Choice 1, the old-fashioned way. Divide on both sides by negative 2/3. When you do that, the negative 2/3 will cancel out. We'll be left with x equals 5/6 times, and take the reciprocal. We were dividing by negative 2/3. To solve that, we change to multiplication. We take the reciprocal of the second number, which means we're going to flip it. Negative 3/2. And then we can solve our problem. X equals 5 times 3, which is 15. 6 times 2, which is 12, with a negative. Let's put that in lowest terms. 5/12 is the same thing as, because we both divide by 3, leaving me with negative 5/4. The other way to solve this would have been, instead of dividing by 2/3 and then having to flip it, to multiply on both sides by the reciprocal, which was a lesson we had just a few moments ago. In that case, you would have multiplied by negative 3/2 here, multiplied by negative 3/2 here, which is also our second step. Either way, you should get a final answer of negative 5/4.